The sky was not supposed to burn like that. Not with blue fire. Colonel Heron stood outside the command post, staring at the strange flames dancing above Earth's atmosphere. The clouds didn't move. They pulsed like something alive had gripped the sky. Every soldier around him felt the same thing. Something was wrong. Deeply wrong. A buzzing sound filled the air. Not like jets or helicopters. It was too smooth, too perfect. Then the light came. Blinding white streaks, falling fast, slamming into the earth far from the city. No noise, just impact. And then, minutes later, the noise came. A rolling thunder so deep it shook the bones. People screamed. Not from pain, but confusion. Earth was not ready. The attack came with no warning, no message, no demands. First, the satellites went silent. Then power grids failed in random cities. And then, fire rained from the sky. Heron ran back inside. The command center was chaos. Radios were down. The defense grid was unresponsive. And worst of all, the orbital cameras showed what looked like metal birds circling Earth's upper orbit. Alien ships, real ones. The kind no human had ever seen. Smooth black hulls, no wings, no lights. Just floating death. Somewhere in the Amazon, a whole base had vanished. Not destroyed, vanished. Soldiers, walls, even the ground beneath it, gone. No signals. No survivors. Within hours, 5 continents reported the same thing. Vanishing outposts, silent cities, frozen rivers. Something had begun, something so alien it made nukes and missiles feel like toys, but Earth had not fallen yet. A single voice came online from a forgotten part of Siberia. It was cracked with static, but clear enough to shake every military leader still alive. They're afraid of something. I saw one of their officers hesitate. The voice died. But the message stuck. Hesitate. That meant these aliens weren't machines. They felt something. Fear, doubt, maybe even guilt. That small sliver of hope lit a fire in the hearts of those still fighting. Weeks passed. The world was still burning, but humans adapted. Underground bunkers became cities. Old weapons were modified with whatever alien tech they could scavenge. The military wasn't leading anymore. Survivors were. Mechanics, hunters, street kids, they became the new defense. And then she appeared. They didn't know her name at first. She walked out of the ash fields of old Tokyo, wearing armor that shimmered like sunlight, but moved like cloth. Her hair was braided with metal cords, and behind her walked something impossible, a tiger. Not a regular tiger. Its eyes glowed blue. Its fur was black as night, with patterns that shifted like ink in water. It didn't growl or roar. It simply followed her, calm and silent, like a ghost of nature. At first, survivors thought she was another alien. But then she spoke. I am human. The words stopped everyone. Her voice was deep and soft, like someone who had seen 100 wars and still chose peace. A boy asked her, "Where did you come from?" She touched his shoulder gently. From the last promise Earth made to itself. Rumors spread fast. Some said she had trained in secret on a space station buried under Antarctica. Others believed she was part of a forgotten project, something involving gene-fused armor, old AI minds, and creatures from lost jungles. A legend born from desperation. She never gave her name. People just called her the Angel in Armor. Wherever she walked, people followed. But she didn't lead armies. She helped build, repaired, trained, protected. She taught a group of kids how to move without being seen by drones. She helped a mother rebuild a home out of alien scrap metal. She sat beside a dying old man and held his hand until he passed. And that tiger? That beast stood by like a guardian, always watching. The aliens noticed. For the first time, they didn't strike from orbit. They sent scouts. Real ones, soldiers. It was a mistake. The scouts didn't return, and the message was clear. Humanity was not finished yet. Heron, now leading a small survivor cell in what was left of Eastern Europe, received a coded message one night. It simply read, "She walks west." He stared at the glowing words for a long time. Outside, the wind howled across the ruins. But for the first time in weeks, Heron smiled. Hope had a new shape. Not a flag, not a speech, but a woman in silver armor and a silent tiger at her side. The aliens may have conquered the sky, but on the ground, a new war was beginning. And this time, humanity would not just fight to survive. They would fight to rise. The rain never stopped in the ruins of old Warsaw. Acid dripped slowly from broken rooftops, hissing softly wherever it touched metal. The once busy city was quiet now. No cars, no lights, no laughter. Just wind, rain, and the sound of distant footsteps. A young girl named Mila crouched behind a fallen statue. She held a small knife in her hand, shaking. Her clothes were torn. Her hair was dirty, but her eyes burned with something. No alien could erase survival. Across the plaza, a strange shadow moved through the fog. It was tall and thin, not human. Its legs bent backward like a bird, and its head had no mouth. Just a smooth black mask and two glowing circles where eyes should be. It was one of them. An enforcer. Mila knew what that meant. If it found her, she'd vanish like her brother did. No screams, no fight. Just gone. She pressed her back to the cold stone and prayed it hadn't seen her. But the creature stopped. Its head turned. It had heard something. And then a low growl. The enforcer froze. Mila opened her eyes and saw it, a massive shape stepping through the fog. Broad shoulders, flowing silver armor. The tiger padded beside her, its muscles silent under wet fur. Blue eyes glowing. The angel had arrived. She said nothing. She didn't need to. The tiger leaped first. Mila never forgot what she saw. The beast didn't fight like an animal. It moved like it understood war. It dodged the enforcer's energy. Blade slid under it and slammed it into the ground with a roar that shook the windows. The enforcer screamed, not with sound, but with light. It flickered like a dying machine. The angel walked forward, lifted a long curved blade from her back, and sliced downward in a clean motion. The enforcer stopped moving. Mila stared, mouth open. The woman turned to her, eyes soft behind the helmet. "You're safe now." Mila dropped her knife and ran to her. After that moment, word spread faster than fear. The angel was real. She wasn't a ghost. She protected those who could not protect themselves. In a half-destroyed hotel basement, survivors gathered every night to hear stories about her. A boy claimed she'd taken down a flying drone with a spoon. An old woman swore she saw her heal a broken leg just by touching it. But Heron knew better. He had seen real battles. He knew the difference between myth and soldier. This angel was no god. She bled. She got tired. But she never gave up. In the command ruins of what used to be Berlin, Heron and a team of ex-special forces tracked alien patrols, collected data, and planned their counterattacks. He now worked with doctors, farmers, engineers, and even kids. Like Mila, because Earth's new army wasn't made of soldiers anymore. It was made of survivors. They didn't need heroes. They needed symbols. That's what the angel had become. But the aliens were adapting too. Deep beneath the Arctic ice, alien scientists had built a hive, a living machine that processed human DNA, memory, and fear. They wanted to learn what made humans fight so hard. Why Earth didn't just surrender. The answer kept coming up the same: hope. They didn't understand it. In their species, hope was weakness. But in humans, hope was fire. The more you crushed them, the more they burned. So the aliens created a new kind of weapon, a mimic, something that looked human, something that could fool the survivors. They built her in secret, cloned her from the captured memories of real humans. A fake angel, same face, same voice, but no soul. She would walk into survivor camps and turn their hope into ash. But the real Angel already knew. The tiger had sensed the shift in the stars. She didn't speak much, but she told Hareen one thing before she left again. They're sending a shadow, one that looks like me, but it cannot love. Hareen stared at her. And what will you do? She placed a hand on the tiger's head. I'll remind the world how to tell the difference. That night, the angel disappeared into the forest, but not before giving Mela a gift, her old knife, cleaned and sharpened. Keep this, she said. Not to fight, but to remind you you are not weak. And with that, she vanished. Somewhere in the dark, a storm was rising, and the real war was just beginning. The underground city of Black Hollow had never seen the sky. It was carved from an old mining system, deep beneath what used to be northern Canada. Thousands lived there, now humans who had escaped the first wave, hiding in the cold earth like roots waiting for spring. They had food, water, even weak power drawn from old solar banks. But no sunlight, no sound of birds, no fresh air. Only fear. Fear of what moved above. Every few days, alien scouts passed by the surface. Their legs made no sound. Their ships hummed like breathless ghosts. If they ever found Black Hollow, the entire city would be dust in minutes. That's why nobody was ready when the sirens went silent. It happened fast. One moment, the guards were chatting at the main tunnel gate. The next, every light flickered, and then darkness swallowed everything. Silent. Cold. A girl named Cora was in the lower medical wing when it happened. She froze. Everyone did. The power core had never shut down before. Something was wrong. Very wrong. A red emergency light blinked once. Just once. And then nothing. The ground began to tremble. At first, it was soft, like a train far away. But it grew louder, closer. The walls groaned. Dust fell from the ceiling. Then dash screams. Cora grabbed a metal rod and ran toward the entrance. She wasn't a soldier. She was a nurse. But something inside her refused to sit still. As she reached the gate chamber, her heart sank. The entrance was open. Broken. Alien machines had sliced through the steel like paper. Two enforcers stepped inside, followed by a strange third figure, a woman in silver armor. People gasped. Whispers ran through the chamber like fire. It's her, the angel. No, wait. Something's wrong. The woman moved like the angel. She wore the same armor, carried the same sword. But her eyes, they were empty, cold, no soul, no emotion. The tiger was missing. Cora hid behind a crate and watched as the mimic walked through the crowd. The people didn't move. They were confused, frozen in hope. And then, the fake angel raised her hand. The enforcers turned their weapons toward the civilians. That was the moment. Cora knew the truth. This was not their angel, she was the shadow. Cora had seconds to act. She sprinted through a side tunnel, dodging the panicked crowd. She had to reach the power core chamber. Maybe she could overload the failsafe, collapse the gate, even if it meant trapping herself inside. Above ground, in the frost-covered woods, the real angel stopped walking. The tiger growled once, deep, sharp, then turned its head toward the northwest. She listened. Even from miles away, she felt it. Something had been twisted. Her image, her symbol, was being used to harm. She closed her eyes and whispered, I'm coming. In Black Hollow, chaos had begun. The fake angel walked with calm steps, issuing commands in a perfect copy of the real voice. Separate the children. Detain the leaders. Begin memory sweep. People cried. Some fought. Most just stood, stunned and broken. But in the dark power chamber, Cora slammed her rod into the old fuse lines. Sparks flew. A shock burned her fingers, but she didn't stop. Blast door slid shut behind her. She turned the manual crank. She had locked herself in. Alarms returned briefly. The main generator sparked to life, flooding parts of the city with flickering blue light. That's when they saw her on the outer cameras, the real angel. She walked down the snow hill, silver armor glowing under the storm clouds. Her tiger beside her, alive, real, powerful, and angry. The aliens inside turned to the monitors. "Mismatch detected," said one enforcer, scanning both images. The fake angel turned toward the screen. For the first time she hesitated. Harin, watching from an old relay station miles away, leaned forward and whispered. Now they learned the difference. The blast came fast. The real angel charged through the collapsed outer tunnel, sword drawn, tiger roaring ahead of her. They moved like lightning. Like judgment. Enforcers turned their weapons on her, but too late. The tiger tore through one. Claws breaking metal and bone. The angel leapt high, landed behind the second, and sliced its spine clean through. The mimic tried to run, but she stopped. Turned and smiled. That was her mistake. The real angel walked forward slowly. No words. She didn't raise her weapon yet. She simply stared. The mimic twitched. "Why do you smile?" the angel asked. The mimic replied, in a voice identical to hers, "Because you cannot destroy what they already believe." The angel lifted her sword. "You copied my face, not my soul." And then, with one clean motion, she ended the shadow. Cora stood in the power chamber, breathing hard, bruised, but alive. The blast doors opened. Light poured in. Real light. Not sunlight. But the light of hope. The angel stepped through. And people gathered around her. She didn't give speeches. She only looked at the frightened crowd, and said softly, "I will never let them wear my skin again." That night, every city that still had a signal shared the same message. The angel walks. And now, even the aliens feared her name. The snow fell quietly on the outskirts of what was once Paris. The city was no longer a place of love or art. It was a graveyard. Towers broken in half, statues buried in rubble. The Eiffel Tower now leaned like an old man, barely holding itself up. Everything was gray. Except for the campfire. A group of refugees huddled around the weak flames, sharing old stories to survive. The cold night. Most of them were too young to remember life before the war. Others were too old to forget it. They spoke of cities with music, streets full of light, and skies not patrolled by death machines. But when the conversation turned quiet, a voice from the dark spoke. "She's coming." A boy whispered the words with wide eyes. He pointed toward the trees. The wind shifted. Footsteps. First soft, then firm, and then the silver shine. The angel in armor stepped into the light. Her presence silenced everything. Even the fire seemed to stop crackling. Beside her, the tiger looked around the camp, calm and alert. It didn't snarl. It didn't growl. It simply watched. A child stepped forward, holding something small. A toy soldier. His voice cracked. "Are you really her?" The angel knelt down. She gently took the toy in her hand, studied it, and nodded. "I was once just like this, small, breakable, but I chose to stand." The boy smiled. The others began to cry. Not from fear or sadness, but from something they hadn't felt in a long time. Relief. The angel sat by the fire. She didn't give orders, she listened. She asked names. She learned who had lost what. She shared no details of her missions. Only warmth. But not far from the camp, something moved beneath the city. Deep under the Paris ruins, the aliens had built a pulse weapon, not a bomb. Not a gun, a song. A sound that traveled through bone and memory. It didn't destroy the body, it erased the will to fight. Any human exposed to it felt lost, alone, and empty. They had tested it once in South Africa. An entire resistance group had dropped their weapons and walked into the desert. Silent. Blank. Now, the aliens planned to activate it here. Paris would be the final echo. If the pulse worked, hope would vanish across the globe. But there was one problem. The weapon required a perfect signal. And the signal couldn't be sent if something blocked the frequency. Like the Angel's armor, made from ancient alloys and living code, her presence scrambled alien tech just by being near it. She didn't know how. She only knew it happened. And now, she was sitting above their hidden weapon. The aliens panicked. Inside the Paris underground, their general sent a message to orbit. Deploy the Shatterborn. No one on Earth had heard that name before, but in space, even their own soldiers feared it. The Shatterborn was not a person. Not even a creature. It was a curse. A living engine of destruction, built from the wreckage of lost planets and powered by the screens of every species that had fallen before humanity. It had no form, just armor and shadows, but it never failed. Until now, the sky over Paris cracked open with a thunder no storm could match. Fire spiraled down in a black beam. Earth shook. Old buildings shattered. The camp exploded in panic. But the Angel did not run. She stood. The Tiger stepped beside her. And from the fire and smoke, something massive emerged. 9 feet tall, cloaked in darkness. Its armor dripped like oil, and its face was nothing but a smooth black plate with no eyes. The Shatterborn. It stepped forward, each footfall leaving cracks in the stone. The Angel spoke softly to her Tiger. Guard them. Then, she walked out alone. No sword drawn. No shield raised. Just her presence. The two figures faced each other in silence. Humanity's last symbol of hope. Against the universe's oldest weapon of fear, the Shatterborn raised its hand. The air bent. The clouds pulled inward. The pulse began, but something went wrong. Its song didn't spread. It hit a wall. Her armor glowed. Not with power. With memory. Every scar on her suit was a story. Every dent, a name. The armor was not built to kill. It was built to remember, and memory was the one thing the aliens could never erase. The Shatterborn tried again. Nothing. The Angel took one step forward. Then another. And another. The creature stepped back. It had never done that before. For the first time in countless years, fear returned to the weapon, because it saw something no code could measure. Not rage, not hate, but love. Love for those behind her, for the planet she stood on, for every broken home and lost child. She drew her sword. The Shatterborn lunged. Paris shook again, not from defeat, but from defiance. The air between them cracked like broken glass. The Shatterborn lunged, its armor bending like smoke, its limbs longer than they should be. It moved with speed no creature that size should have. It came down with both arms raised, aiming to crush the Angel beneath sheer force. She didn't move until the last moment. She turned, stepping sideways with perfect calm. The strike missed by inches, slamming into the ground and sending shattered stone in all directions. The Angel answered with a single slash. Her sword hummed metal that remembered pain, forged with Earth's final breath. It scraped across the Shatterborn's arm, and for the first time in recorded alien history, the Shatterborn bled. Black fluid hissed out of the wound, evaporating into the air. The creature roared not from pain, but confusion. Nothing had ever heard it before, but the Angel had. The two circled each other now, the camp watching from the broken edges of the street. Refugees hid behind rubble, praying without words. Some cried, others simply held hands. The Tiger stood between them and the battlefield, its ears flat, its tail still. This wasn't a normal fight. This was something else. HFY watched from a satellite relay bunker in southern Europe. His screen showed blurry footage shaking from impact tremors, covered in static, but he saw enough. He turned to the young tech beside him. Record everything. This will be history. Back in Paris, the Shatterborn charged again, faster this time. It shifted form as it ran, legs twisting into wheels, arms turning into blades. The Angel leaped above it, flipping midair. Landing on its back, she drove her sword deep into its shoulder. It howled, twisting and rolling to throw her off. She hit the wall of a collapsed building, armor sparking. Shoulder dislocated. She stood anyway. The creature laughed, not a sound but a vibration. It echoed in every chest. A mockery. She said nothing. Instead, she raised one hand and snapped her shoulder back into place. That moment broke something inside the Shatterborn. It charged again. Wildly, rage overtaking programming. But the angel was ready. She didn't dodge. She ran straight at it. The impact was thunder. Her blade sliced through its core, but not to kill. She twisted the blade mid-strike, forcing it to stall. The creature staggered. Then she dropped the sword and stepped in closer. She pressed both hands against its chest, leaning into the metal. Her armor lit up. Not with light, but with memories, whispers of the people she'd helped. The boy with the toy soldier, the girl with the sharpened knife, the mother she carried through fire, all of them. The Shatterborn stumbled. Something inside it began to flicker. Screens across alien ships flashed errors. Orbiting warships turned dark, unable to connect. The creature shuddered. And then it fell. Not exploded, not broken. It collapsed like a giant, forgetting why it stood. It didn't move again. The angel stepped back, breathing hard. Her tiger came to her side. They looked at the refugees. None of them cheered. They were too stunned. But one old man whispered. She ended the nightmare, and suddenly the silence broke. People rushed forward, not to touch her, but to stand near her. Just near. As if her presence alone warmed them. The alien generals above Earth panicked. The Shatterborn was their final weapon, their symbol of control, and it had fallen to a single human. They gave the order, leave Earth. Across the stars, ships turned away. They didn't run in fear. They ran in disbelief. Humans were not what they expected. Not weak. Not chaotic, but something they didn't understand. They didn't conquer Earth. They awakened it. In a mountain cave. Weeks later, the angel sat beside a small fire, her tiger asleep beside her. Heron found her there. He approached carefully, holding a radio. We intercepted the signal. They're leaving. She didn't look at him. She stared into the fire. They'll return. Maybe, Heron said, sitting down, but not for a long time. The wind outside howled, but the cave was warm. She looked at him finally. How many still fight? Enough, he said. But they're tired. She nodded. We don't need to fight forever. Just long enough to make them remember. Heron placed the radio down. Your name, he asked. Do you have one? She shook her head. I gave it up. A name belongs to the past. But this armor, this mission, this is now. The tiger stirred, eyes glowing faintly, and for the first time, Heron smiled. You're not just hope anymore, he said. You're a warning. The angel stood, sword at her back. Armor scratched but proud, and far across the stars, in places no human had ever seen, alien children would grow up hearing stories of a woman in silver armor, of a beast with glowing eyes. Of the day the Shatterborn fell, and they would be taught one thing: never touch Earth again. The forest was quiet. Leaves drifted through the air like feathers. Birds, once silent during the war, had begun to sing again. A stream whispered softly as it moved between moss-covered stones. The angel in armor stood at the edge of a broken road, her hand resting on the tiger's head. She hadn't spoken in days. There was nothing left to fight. The sky, once filled with enemy ships, now showed stars again. Earth was still scarred, yes. Cities still burned in places. Families still mourned. But the invasion had ended. The sky no longer belonged to them. It belonged to Earth once more. From across the valley, people came slowly. Survivors, soldiers, children, doctors, mechanics. All those who had lived through the unthinkable. Some carried torches, others flowers. Some brought nothing but silence. They had gathered for her. Not to worship, not to follow, but to thank. Heron stepped forward. His jacket was patched, His boots cracked from miles of travel, but his eyes held peace. He stood beside her and looked at the sky. "Do you believe they'll return?" he asked. The angel didn't answer right away. She looked down at the ground. Then up at the stars. "If they do," she said softly, "they'll find a world ready." He smiled. "We're building again. The camps are becoming villages. Children are laughing. Can you believe it? Laughing." She nodded. That was all she needed to hear. A small girl with short brown hair walked up to her carefully. In her hands, she held a string of metal rings, twisted pieces of old enforcer armor, shaped into a necklace. "It's not pretty," the girl said, "but I made it for you." The angel knelt down. She accepted the gift with both hands, then placed it around her neck. "It's the most beautiful thing I've ever worn," she said. The girl grinned and ran back to her parents. From a nearby hill, an old woman played a soft song on a handmade flute. It was slow, gentle, made from memory. As the music filled the air, the people lit small lights around the field, glowstones, solar lamps, even old candles. A ring of light formed, and in the center stood the angel. She removed her helmet. For the first time, the crowd saw her full face. It was not perfect. There were scars, tired eyes, gray at the edges of her hair. But she was real. Beautiful not in smooth skin, but in strength that had survived sorrow. She looked across the crowd. "You don't need me anymore," she said. "That is good." Someone in the crowd called out, "But what if they come again?" She smiled gently. "Then you will stand." The tiger stepped beside her. Its eyes met the crowd. It blinked slowly, calm, proud, like it agreed. A group of young builders stepped forward, holding a frame covered by cloth. They lifted it, then pulled the cloth away. It was a statue. Not tall, not shiny, but true. The angel standing with her sword down and the tiger beside her. The base of the statue read, "She didn't save the world, she showed us how." She walked up to it, touched the cold stone, and whispered, "I am no savior. I am a mirror." Then she turned to Heron. "I will go now." "Where?" he asked. "Where I am needed." He nodded. "There's always somewhere." She placed a hand on his shoulder. "Thank you for believing when others didn't. You reminded us how." And then she walked. Not into the forest, but into the dawn. No one followed. They simply watched. As the angel in armor and her silent tiger crossed the hills, their figures glowing gold in the rising light. And across the world, in every language, the message passed. She walked still. Not for war, not for revenge, but for memory. So Earth would never forget what it survived. So the stars would never forget what it woke.